Hello, can you hear me now? Can you see me now? Hey! Hello, hello. Can people see me, hear me, whatever, please? Hallelujah. I figured out what the problem was. So, it's all right. Boy, I got bright lights today. It's so dark outside. Thanks for coming. Um, look down here in my questions. I think I only have like one question. So we'll have to do more questions. And then I also want to talk about a couple things. Um, I'm going to write them down. Um, all right, let me get down to the questions here. All righty. It's good to see you. It's good to be with you. Um, I'll talk about that in just a minute. Robert, a little slow on my internet, which doesn't make sense to me. But let me test here. I don't know, maybe just the whole network as a general. Hello from. How are you? Cherie, my wife is doing much better. Today kind of had a little adventure today. She wanted to go to her doctor, and then she went off to I don't know. She was supposed to go to a fabric store or something, and then she's also going to um, go measure a child that's wanting a baptismal outfit or something like that, or blessing. It might have been blessing. And so then she drove home. So she's kind of went on her own. This is her. She did a little one down to down to one doctor, and then this one was a much larger thing. She was gone for several hours, so it was good, and she's really happy about being strong enough to be able to up and down into the car and drive around and go where she wants to go. So a little bit of freedom, a little bit of ability to do that on her own has made her much more happier. So she's doing pretty well. She gets a little sore now and then, usually by doing too much. And yeah, for some reason my internet's just getting gobbled up right now. But I'll still answer the questions. Yeah, it's good news. Thank you very much for asking. Um, okay, I have one question that was sent in. Then I'm going to talk about a couple other things, and then I want to talk to you about maybe thinking about a different way of doing this Facebook Live. Just because I can't show you the screens and I can't show you how to do certain things, and I can't I have to explain it verbally, and that's not always the best way to do it. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about some changes that I'm considering, and want to get your feedback for it. See how that works. So let me do the one question that was previously submitted, and certainly, of course, you can always ask questions in the live so that we can um, so I can answer some questions you may have. Um, Said this is from Janine. She said, you have said that in the past that it is not proper to seal a child to parents who never lived together as a couple, whether married or not. Um, that's not true necessarily. If they are married, then yeah, feel free to seal them to that couple, even if they were only married for a brief time. Um, but if they were not married, it was just a rendezvous in some place, and the result of that rendezvous happened to be a child, and they were never married, or they never lived together in a married kind of way, meaning they were all together in the same home. Then she goes on to say, "You said that it's better to seal the child to a set of grandparents, most likely the mother's parents. I assume that then that we need to attach the grandparents to the grandchild as parents in order to enable the sealing. That is correct. What relationship type should we use? Adoptive, step, guardianship, or foster? We recommend guardianship for that particular event." Or does it matter much so long as the note is added explaining the situation? No, we recommend using guardianship as the relationship to the grandparents, and then you can seal those children to the grandparents. Let's see. Is Living Family Group program going live or not? It will be. We're on our second round of pilot testing. And the first round, we found, several things that weren't quite like what we like in our user experience. And so we want to tweak that user experience a little bit so that we get a little better feel for it. And then we're hoping to try to get others involved with shared family. I call them shared family groups, but it's just going to be called, I think, family groups. And in the next, maybe by the end of the year, if not just really the beginning of the first of the year. And the only reason why there would be a delay there is because, we're gearing up for Roots Tech, and Roots Tech is virtual again this year. And we have lots of enhancements and lots of retooling that we need to do with Roots Tech so that it works better and it works more, it can scale better. As you know, we had to turn off Roots Tech Connect for figuring out relationships within a couple of, I think we left it on for the rest of the week, of that particular week. And then we had to turn it off because it's just too many machines and too much cost involved. But now we've gone and rewritten a bunch of it over the year. And we're updating all the Roots Tech stuff so that we can have better scaling. And so that's looking pretty well. But that since Roots Tech's in February, near the beginning of March, we tend to, what happens is a lot of requests comes in on how to fix things in Roots Tech to make them better. And so that usually results in several leaving their normal group and running off and help, or it usually requires multiple groups to accept new Roots Tech responsibilities in order to make sure it's going to work well in February, end of February. So so that's why there would be a delay there. We are planning on shipping this family groups in different stages. So the first stage will give you the ability to, I'll give you a brief explanation of family groups. The intent of family groups is for you to create a family group and then invite people into that family group. And all of those that are in the family group will be able to see things that are unique to that group. And I'll tell you what what they will be initially and what they will be later on. So initially, what we're going to do is provide a way for you to create a family group. And the person who creates the family group is automatically the admin of that group. And the expectation of admins are to help moderate the group, keep them calm, keep them doing the right things and not being destructive and stuff like that for the group. And then the features that will come with the group initially will be the ability to chat to the whole group. You'll be able to send a message to the whole group, and then they can reply to that message. It'll be a group messaging area. Today you have to enter in each of the contact names for the people you want to talk to if there's a group. But this one you'll just say, like if I create a group and I call it the Tanner group, Tanner family group, then there'll be a Tanner family message in my message box, and I can email or send messages to everybody in the group just by sending one of those messages, and they can all reply back. The second thing you're going to get is a reservation list for the family group. And the purpose of that reservation list in the family group setting is that you can take ordinances or reservations that you have on your reservation list, and you can share them with the group. You can share them by ordinance. So you can say, I only want to share the B and the C, maybe, or I want to share them all, or whatever combination. And it'll still be on your list because we want you to be notified when those ordinances get done. Plus, it'll be on the list of the shared family or the family group list. And somebody from the family group can then pick that one off of the shared list, the group shared list, reservation list, and they can put it on their list. And then they'll have 90 days to complete that those ordinances. If they don't complete it, then it goes back to the shared family group, the list. And so this is a way that I hope that people won't have to spend energy or cost of printing or mailing things, stamps, and so forth. If you just create a group for your family, invite all those in your family that would want to participate, then you can share, or everybody in the group can share ordinances to the family through this family reservation list. And that way, if somebody's on some parts of the other part of the country or other part of the world, they can go to this reservation list, pick stuff off, and go to the temple and do that work. We're even gonna tweak the ordinances ready so that it will pull from your shared family groups. If it can't find it on your reservation list, it'll look on your shared family group lists to see if there's ordinances that'll need to be pulled off or can be pulled off for you to meet your request. We don't know exactly how many groups we're going to allow people to be in, because as more groups you're in, the things get a little bit more complicated for you, and we want to keep it fairly simple and easy to understand. But where things get complicated when you're dealing with multiple groups is people often want to put a memory and attach that memory to a person in this family group. And but if you have 2 or 3 groups, then you're going to want to attach it to that person, to that family member in all the different places, and that's a problem because we don't want to manage all the differences and all the different ones that are the same. And so you may have to do it 3 times if you're in 3 different groups. So that's some complications. That's why we're not doing. That's why we're only doing creation of the group. You can do invites to the group, and then messaging to the group, and then a reservation list for the group. That's part 1. And later, and I don't know how long that's going to be because we haven't really looked into it deeply, but it's a significant changes in several areas. But in the future, we want to be able to have you take your persons in family tree and copy them over to the family group. So now imagine you have yourself, and you copy over yourself, your parents, grandparents, whoever are alive, and then they'll automatically, of course, be still connected into the dead. And now you invite your brother or your sister or your cousin or whoever else in the family you want to have be part of that group. they can come in and they can copy their stuff into, and then there may be some duplicates, so you can merge those pretty easily. And now you have this family view that's has all of your living family, and maybe the nieces, the nephews, the cousins, maybe some cousins that are close, however. And now you could just go to that family group space to see your tree, because you'd be in it, and your brothers and sisters and their children maybe will be in there, and parents and grandparents may be in there, separate sets of grandparents. So later on, we'll do that, because then people want to see things change, right? They want to, if somebody has a birth in the family, they could go to this family group area, add a little baby to the family and put pictures in there. Everybody would see, everybody in the group would be able to see those pictures and add them to persons in that tree, things like that. So that's the big picture, but we're only going to do the creation, the invite, the messaging, and the shared reservation list in this first pass. Okay. So I'm going to remind you that some will believe that this is a way to have a single PID for a person, and that's not going to be the case. And the reason for that is, uh, as an admin, by the way, you can have up to 3 admins in your group so that you can share that responsibility with others. And if they're an admin, they can also invite other people to come into the group. But admins can also kick people out of the group. So if somebody's in the group and they're becoming disruptive or whatever reason, or they decide to leave, they can remove themselves from the group. Um, you need to have an admin who can remove people that are bad, doing bad behavior or whatever, and not let them in the group again. And so they got to have a place to go. So if they go into the family group and they do a bunch of stuff there, and then they get kicked out, well, that stuff's not in their private area. So, but I can't take it away from their private area. I can't take what they had before out of their private area. I can just send them back to their private area, and they start with what they had and what they've had. So that's a little bit about a bit about family groups. They're all spurred by Robert Givens asking, is it going to go live or not? And it will, but it's sometime by the close to the end of the year, or it may trickle into next year, but just because of Roots Tech needs. Is there one place to see a complete list of all the different family history activities? Yes, there is. You can go to FamilySearch.org. Let me just make sure I got it right here. You go to FamilySearch.org, and then you up on the main menu, you log in. Of course, you have to log in if you want all the experiences. There's some that don't really need to be logged in, but you need to log in. At the top of the menu, there's right next to indexing is a button called Activities. You can click Activities, and at the very top of the Activities drop down, that says there's a button that says All Activities. So you click that, and you will see all the family history activities that are available. Some of these having even more that are underneath it. So, for instance, in-home activities. If you click that one, there's about, I don't know, 30 things or 40 things that are in there that you could do. But these in-home ones, some of them are digital so that you can do, like how I'm related to people. But a lot of it is just things to do in your own personal home. Like my name is one of the activities. And the suggestion is that you ask a parent about how you got your name. Why is your name what it is? For instance, in my case, my name's Ron Tanner, but my full name is Ronald Martin Tanner. So the Ron, I asked my dad, well, what does Ron mean? We just liked it, well, why do I have Martin? Well, that's because that's your family line of your grandmother. Oh, okay. And Tanner, of course, from my father. So I know where those names came from, and that's what this is. So you have your children in the home, and they want to know, well, why did you name me Susan, or why did you name me Samantha, or Jonathan, or whatever? And that's an important thing for the children to know why they have the name they have, because it's probably a special family name in some way, and you were naming them after somebody that you really loved or someone that was a great example. So once again, log in the FamilySearch. At the top menu, there's a activities menu button. You click that, and the first thing under activities menu is all activities. You click that, you go see them all. Let's see. With Family History Centers closed, what is the access to Find My Past? Well, Find My Past, to get access with Find My Past, you just have to you can create an account. You create an account. If you're a member of the church, you can get a free account. If you're not, you can still create an account, and you can go over to Find My Past and log in and do your thing. So I'm not aware of anything that's not working between us and Find My Past. I don't think. Speaking of Roots Tech, I'm hoping the future conferences will be held in the conference center as well as virtually 2023. Yeah, they're trying to decide how that's going to work. I'm not involved in those conversations. There's a whole group that's dealing with the content, the things they want to do in Roots Tech and what activities they want to have and what kind of presentations they need. So I can't presume to know what they're going to do going forward in the future. I think they have a desire to do something like that. Although, you have to recognize that there's some expenses involved. If you do one in a building and another virtual, both of them cost funds, right? One, you have to rent the building and do all that kind of stuff, but charging a fee helps offset some of that. And then virtual stuff, we're using funds as well to spin up these machines and get these presentations available and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what their decision is going to be. We'll probably won't find out till next year anyway, or till after next year sometime. But I know it's virtual next year, 2022. But there is desire for people to be able to meet in person. They felt like that was a real good experience for people to get together and actually meet their cousins, find out how you're related to others in the Roots Tech conference, registered for Roots Tech conference. And they want you to still have that experience and meet them in person. How long will ordinances stay in family groups list? All right. So good question. I didn't answer that one. So remember, the reservation is in your personal list, and you share it with the family group reservation list. It will stay in that reservation group until one of three things happen. One, you decide to take it back. I'm unsharing it from that group. I'm unsharing it from that group. Then you get it back. Two, is it gets done, right? So somebody takes it, does the reservations, then you get notified. The person who printed the card and went to the temple or printed the card will get notified, and you'll get notified, and so that's when it comes off. Or three, if it expires on your reservation list. Okay. So we're putting it on your reservation list so you can know when it gets done, and it's staying on your reservation list until it's done or it expires, right? So let's say you have, I don't know, 6 months on this reservation, you send it over to the shared family group. Nobody does anything with it for 6 months, and it expires on your list, then it's gone. So you have to do the same things that you've had to do before in the past. When you are losing them, you need to sort of unreserve them, re-reserve them, and share them back if that's what you need to do. That's what you desire to do. But that's how they come off the shared group list, is when you um, one of those situations. You unshare, it gets done, or it expires on your reservation list. Okay. Uh, can the list of changes be made easier to use? I like to see the ability to revert back to a point in time. Um, yeah, I understand that. And when we started Family Search, when we started the concept of Family Tree, we had lots of long arguments about um, using a model like Wikipedia. So you're wanting the Wikipedia kind of model where I make changes and edits and I publish a new version of it, and then if somebody publishes stuff that later that I don't like, I can just say go back to the prior version. And that's true for lots of blog kind of things and stuff like that. And the reason why we didn't, there's a couple of reasons why we didn't do that. And I'm trying to remember back because this now is, 11 to 12 years ago when we were talking about this. Um, the, the thing that we believed would happen most is not that people would change tons of stuff. It's that they change a few things. They may change birth, they may change death, they may change a name, but they don't change everything. And if you do that stated stuff, then it's easy for people to just wipe out multiple things. And we didn't believe people would necessarily need that kind of stuff. I understand why it feels comfortable because you can push one button and you're done. You walk away. But in reality, most of the time, there's just a tweak here or a tweak there, or a source added when it shouldn't have been, or things like that. And we wanted it to not have values that were good values in between. So let's say this one was okay, this one's better, this one's horrible. And you just say, well, I want to go back the way I put it in. And so now you wipe out good data from this version of the page that was there and you put it back at yours. But but this data here might have been really right and better and more informative. So we didn't feel comfortable. We felt like people will spend uh, you know time just flip-flopping back and forth and pages would get um, crazy. And we just didn't think people would be changing that many things on a page. And I think the reason why you may feel that you need something like that, and I'm just guessing, you can tell me whether it's true or not, um, is because you're running across people that are doing lots of changes in a short period of time on your particular person. And uh, that very well could be a bad actor. I call a bad actor, meaning somebody that's just running around either maliciously or ignorantly just changing things. And we've done things to try to help that. For instance, we changed the way we do possible duplicates so that they're less likely to present somebody who is similar but not really close. And so if you've noticed, we've started to do that. The sources were still being a little more loose just because they could be about the same family. It's just from England instead of from New York, just because that family moved. And so you wouldn't want to miss out on that necessarily. So that's why we decided that, and that was long ago in the very bowels of the center of Family Tree. Um, and Man, that's all I can say about that. Um, Betty Lou. Although, by the way, Richard, I do want to make it better for filtering. I want you to be able to filter on everything, anything you want, so that you can narrow down. Sometimes you have to find, it's hard to find that first one or the last one of maybe source added or um, parent changed or something like that. And so I would like to get it to where you can filter on anything, or at least find out if there's one of those changes in there that's related to that particular filter. Um, Betty says, can I add a family to the tree if currently there is no connection to anyone else? I am doing a type of location one name study. Well, you can certainly create a person in the tree and not have it connected to you personally. The way you do that is you go to, let me just double check the path you have to go. So if you go to Family Tree and you click Tree, oh no, so you want to go to, hold on a second, I got to get there. I'm going to go to Person. So you want to go to a person. It could be you, anybody, it doesn't matter. Somebody in your tree, doesn't really matter. And then under Recents, if you go to Recents, which is the sub menu under Family Tree, so you're going to click Family Tree first. And then I recommend clicking a person, say person instead of tree. That will bring up you. And then when you're looking at the second row of options, it says overview, tree, person, recents, find, following, and my contributions. So if you click the recents, so you need to click recents under Family Tree, and it'll list all the people that you've looked at, the last 50 people that you've looked at. But if you look all the way down to the bottom of the recents box that pops up, there's a button that says Add Unconnected Person. So if you do that, you can create a person in the tree. It's not connected to anything. Recognize that, I'm hoping you're not doing this for entertainment or for just playing around or something like that. That's not the place to do that. If you need a place to just play around or demonstrate things to other people without messing with Family Tree, I recommend going to beta.familysearch.org. Your account will work there just as well as it works on Family Tree or Family Search. Just go to beta.familysearch.org, go there. Then I don't care how many people or dummy people or messed up people or any kind of people you want to put over there. Just remember, things in beta aren't going to stay. So eventually those are going to be wiped out, and we'll be refreshing, because we use beta to test the kind of data that people are entering in, to understand how our software is working with it. So once a year, we wipe out beta and we bring a fresh copy of Family Tree and put it inside of beta. Once you're playing with beta, you're welcome to play with it all you want, do whatever you want there. But I would not, if it's not real genealogy that you're going to do, or real valid people that you're going to put in that tree in an unconnected fashion, then I suggest you go to beta to do this. If it's a legitimate study, a legitimate genealogical piece of work that you're working on, then that's fine. You can stick it in the Family Tree, create your first person, and then you can add families off to that, and you can have any size tree coming off of that. You'll have to probably bookmark your first person that you create. I recommend bookmarking that, because as you're adding and doing things, you're probably going to get past the 50, and then it'll be lost on your list. So the one thing I recommend is, once you create that first unconnected person, bookmark it into your browser bookmarks. Copy and paste the URL in some document so that you don't lose it, so that you can always get back to that person and then walk their tree up to wherever you're doing your next study. Okay, does that make sense? You think your father is your ancestor's brother, but currently have not verified the connection. This family name is not currently in Family Tree. Yeah, you could create an unconnected person and do the bookmark, like I said. And if you finally figure out they are the brother, then you can connect them to the family. Chief Family Genealogy Officer in Wyoming as well. And Rena, Are there any plans to expand this list of family history activities so that more are available in the apps? For example, Pioneer Children would be fun one in the apps. Yeah, I don't. The Pioneer one is a campaign. Um, yeah, the problem. Yeah, well, I'll talk to the folks in campaigns. Let me make a note here. Um, campaigns in app question mark. So yeah, the problem with campaigns is it's not. Some campaigns are standard. So if you look at the activities that are in there that are campaigny ish, that would be the ones that are like about me. It's the ones like World War One service records or pioneer ancestors, missionaries, women of faith, Nauvoo. Those are created by the campaign team to send them out to people to kind of get them to remember missionaries or ancestors' headstones, things like that, and they build it in the web, and they don't provide us an option for the app, but they can. If they build it a certain way in what's called responsive, and actually, if they use our new code that we're beginning to transfer, we're updating FamilySearch. I'm sure you've seen it. If you go look at search now, it looks very different than it used to. And that's because we're moving to new technology because the old technology we're using is no longer being supported. So we needed to move to something else that is supported and hopefully will be available for a long time. So it seems to be coming from a company that's going to be around and will be using that technology. So, but if they do it in a certain way, which is what's called responsive in the industry, which means it'll fit to the size of the screen that you're on. So if you're on an app, you're in a phone, then the phone is this size, and the it has to be able to adjust itself so that it looks good sitting on a screen that's this big, right? So um, that's what they have to do. I'll pass that on. Um, and see how they respond to that. I think they might like it. I know they wanted to do some inserts into Family Tree for that, but they were too busy having to do other things. Okay. All right. All right, Lynn. Nice question. I would say that so the question here was: has the feedback on the new record search function been mostly positive or negative? Some slide out instructions might be helpful as we get used to the changes. Same question for help community. So one of the issues we have with the new search stuff is we messed up. We are working on a blog article that could be referenced from that new experience, where you could say, click here to learn more about this experience. You click it, it would send you over to a blog that would tell you about all the changes were made, why they were made, things like that. And unfortunately, it got out the door before we had that put together and translated. So they're working on that, and I think that will make things better and more helpful. I got plenty of emails from people that were upset because their cheese got moved or they got confused, and because it doesn't look like anything like it was before, at least initially. You come into the screen, you scroll down to try to search tree separately from records, from all these other places that you can go to, catalog, so forth. And it had a very simple little box that you enter the first name, the last name, place, and birth date, I think it is. And everybody, and especially the more power users who who've learned to really dig into the search and use all of the options, felt frustrated because it wasn't there. It was like this, why do I want to work in a little box that all I can do is put in those 4 fields? And so I talked about this last time, but I'm sure there's new people on here today. Is the thing is you need to do right next to that little search button is a button that's, it's not a button, but it's words that's colored in a blue, I think it is. That means you can push them, and it says more options. You click that, and you pretty much get everything you had before plus more. So when you click that, you have all your fields to put in birth. You can click to add a spouse. You can click to add parents. You can do all that kind of stuff, and then you hit go search. Boom, you get your stuff back on your page, and then you get all these new things. Like at the top of the list, you're going to have grade bubbles, and the bubbles are about filtering. It's other ways that you can filter the list. So let's say your list had 1,000 in it, and it spans across multiple time periods. It spans across multiple um, countries and so forth. So you could go up to the filters and click, countries, and then pick the 1 or 2 or 3 countries you're interested in, and then the whole list will shrink down to just the people in one of those 3 countries. Or you only want 1900 or 1800 birth dates and not any birthday from any time frames. You can click birth dates or birthplaces, things like that, and you can narrow it down really quickly. Boom, 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 boom. You get it down to the people you really want, and because they match these filters, you can do it by collection, all sorts of ways. And we've found that these filters are fast and they're really quick. And once you start figuring those out and pushing them and trying them, most people, they'll send me, angry mails. I send them back a little screenshot that tells, well, you need to click here, and then you'll see this, and then you can do these filter things. And you almost always, not always, but most of the time, this time, I got a feedback back that says I tried it for a couple of days. I love it because they see that power of just pushing buttons rather than having to go over and edit all the fields again. You just click stuff in the filter buttons and you get narrowed down. Then you go, well, that's no good. I'll open it back up a little bit over here. Boom, 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 boom. You open it up. Now you got a bigger list. And so try it out. I think that you will learn to appreciate the things that they've done in that search system. And like I said, almost everybody that complained to me, a week later or less said, yeah, I got to play with it. I think it's great. Now it's working great. And it also has some more options over there under more options. There's a tab that says preferences, and you can click that. And you could make it look like a spreadsheet. You could download it into a spreadsheet. So you can take all the data from the search that you've done and download it into a XLS, a Microsoft spreadsheet. Of course, you can do that. You can put that stuff in other spreadsheets too. And you can then go and analyze that and not have to worry about trying to recreate that search that you just did. You got all the data that came from that search. And so I just think there's some great things there. And I know I struggle too sometimes when people change things and I'm going, what the heck? I don't know where to push. And we apologize for not getting that article out at the same time or just before, so that we could refer you to that to learn a little bit more about how to do it. So yeah, there was some negative feedback, or at least I did get some. I'm sure the community got some. I don't know how the community got through that one. Yeah, we moved the filters up to the top. There's more filters than there were before, and filters really work great. They're really slick. So I think that they're good things, and I think people will love them. And the filters are created based on the data that come back from your original search criteria. So if you went in and edit your search criteria, and you say, search again, then you could get different kinds of filters because the data, those filters come from the data in the set that came back. Um, yeah, yeah, you have to learn. There is some time that you have to put in there to see all the things, but basically, you should be able to get to where you were before, at least to see your list of 5,000 or whatever, and you're used to kind of going through or trying to edit some stuff on the side, which you can still do. But play around with the filters a little bit. I think you'll be surprised. 8:24, boy, and I'm sorry. We may go over just a little bit if that's okay, because I was 4 or 5 minutes late because I couldn't get my YouTube studio going. Figured out what the problem was, but I want to talk about one other thing. And I've mentioned this before. None of this is new, but I do want you to know that we are planning on um, having a reservation limit. That means limit the number of reservations you can have on your reservation list. Don't ask me what the limit's going to be, because I'm not going to tell you. That's going to be announced one time when we put out the blog about it and we turn it on. Some people will be okay with it. Some people won't be okay with it. And so I want to talk a little bit about it and how and why we're doing it, and how you can use the new limit in a positive way. Let's see. Hold it. Oh, yeah. So let me talk about I'm not going to jump ship here on this reservation limit. So you're going to have a limit. If you when we turn this on, if you're over the limit, nothing's going to happen. We're not going to take away anybody's reservations. So if you're over the limit, then it just stays. Everything stays, and you just work on getting your your reservations done. Um, they may expire, right? If you've got, we went and analyzed to see what's the biggest reservation lately. Reservation list. It's over a million ordinances on one reservation list, and that's just unacceptable, because that means all of those family members for that particular same family can't reserve any ordinances for 2 years, right? They're going to get all 90 days if they're all shared to the temple, and I feel like we're generating too many 90 days, which cause frustration, especially for those who are further distance from the temple. And so if you have large list and the limit occurs and you're over the limit, you're not going to lose anything. But just like always, the reservations, when we start expiring them again, we haven't had an official answer, but I'm guessing that we will not expire reservations until all the temples are in phase 4. That's not an official announcement, so that's just me speculating. So don't run around and tell people that. But when we decide it's time to turn on reservation expirations, we'll certainly inform everybody that we're doing that. And then when expirations start happening again, there could be, and I've kind of veered off from the 300 limit. So let me finish up the 300 limit. So you got this many, but 300 is only this many. Those all ones over here will still stay. You continue to work on them, do all that kind of stuff. And if they expire before if you don't get them all done before they expire, then they'll be removed from your list, and they'll be shared to the temple from your account. So it'll be on your shared reservation list. So you can still find it if you need to later. If you get below the limit, you could go to that shared reservation list and pull them into your list if you wanted. And then once you're below the limit, we won't let you reserve more that takes you beyond the limit. Okay. Now, so I hope that was it's probably feeling a little uncomfortable, but it's okay because now, let's say you're in within the limit. So that just means you need to focus on getting your set of ordinances that you have available for you that are within the limit. If you go below the limit, you can reserve more till you hit the limit. Um, if you're one of those who spends a lot of time finding, adding, and then mostly shares to the temple, no problem. You just reserve those reservations up to the limit, share them all to the temple. Now your reservation list is empty, and you can go do some more. So I don't think it hinders anything particularly for individuals who are primarily sharing with the temple as opposed to being able to take them to by themselves to the temple. I don't think it slows anyone down there. And I also believe it allows others in your family to find reservations and do them through all the means they can, right? Adding people. Uh, I mean, I would still build things and I would still reserve things and share them to the temple or keep them and just keep building trees and things and just let others in the family find them in there. Okay. So those are the two things I wanted to talk about. Let's see, what else do we have here? He limits. Does that apply to my reservations or shared or both? Okay, now, hey, there technically is no, um, there is a limit to the shared. Okay, and I'll tell you what the shared one is. I don't have a problem with that one. Well, maybe I'll leave it for the document. There is a limit on the shared, and there's also going to be a limit on yours, but you can be over the limit. The shared reservations, you're never going to be able to be over because we're going to enforce the limit before we release them. So, but the limit in the shared reservation list is larger. I'm not going to say much larger. It's larger than the one that you would have in your individual reservation list. And the reason for that is because we want multiple members of the family all being able to share reservations to the family, to the group, right? To the family group reservation list. And we don't want one person's work to fill up the whole list. We want to be able to make sure that several have the opportunity to share reservations to their family and allow them to do it. So we did it so that there could be much more in the shared group than there would be in your personal reservation list. Yeah, Lynn, Lynn Green mentioned that a million is crazy. I agree, and we're working on it. So don't worry about that. We watch that stuff, and we'll take care of it. Do you know when the temples will take names from the worldwide shared list? I know some of my reservations are being done around the world, but will it get better? Yeah, let me spend a minute with that. Good question. Currently, we have not changed the way temples get ordinances for temple lists. This is the ones they hand out on slips of paper for people to do who didn't come with their own cards. Right now, it's the same way it's been. We haven't gotten to that point where we can modify that, but we're not too far away. So today, what it does is when people in a temple district share to the temple, those names go to the temple district. They stay in a pot in the temple district, and then that's the pot they draw from when they need more names at the temple. If they run out of names in that pot, like they may have lots of names, but they don't have any baptisms, for instance, they can steal from another temple list that they get, their set that people shared to. So temple one it is running out, and temple two has big old chunk of people that have already shared tons of reservations will go and steal from another temple and give it to this temple, so they have enough for their quota that they need. They It's measured on the number of people that come to the temple and things like that, so that they have adequate number of names for anybody who comes in. So that's the purpose. That's the way it is now. I don't have a date when it's going to change, but our goal is to. We still have some work to do to write some of this code. So the goal in the future will be the temple district name pots, if you want to call them that, or buckets, are going to go away. And one of the reasons why we want them to go away is because if you happen to live in a temple district where lots of people do genealogy work or family search work in the tree, and they share them all to the temple, then your district will have tons of names, where some district over here will have very few names. Okay. And so anybody sharing to this temple, those get done really fast. But those sharing to this temple take forever to get done because lots of people are sharing to that same temple. So that's the reason. That's one of the things we don't like. We're also know that people are frustrated who have shared reservations to the temple many years ago. Some of them are much longer than you would ever imagine, are still sitting there waiting for them to be used. So we're going to get rid of the concept of temple district buckets, and we're going to go to a single bucket that services the whole entire world. And the top one that's going to get pulled off the list is the one that's been sitting in the reservation list the longest. So whoever's been sitting, waiting for their turn to get to the top of the list so they can be done in a temple, that will be the next one done. And initially, it still has to be broken up by languages. So, like the Hong Kong temple, they do primarily Chinese sort of stuff. Other temples don't do Chinese work, so those will probably end up going there, or maybe Korea or Taiwan, other places that maybe have Chinese who come to the temple and desire names, and depending on the kind of support each temple have. Each temple supports a certain set of languages, and we'll probably have to send those to those particular places. But actually, our hope is that we believe we can do this, is create a transliterator that will transliterate any language to English, and then we can then translate from English to any other language. So the idea being that once it's not in its native tongue, then it's really a phonetic thing. You're trying to say it in a way that kind of sounds like the same thing as if you were you were speaking in Japanese or something. Okay, so we have transliterators for those, but we have a lot more languages now, so we need to also build translators into different languages, so that we can so we can make sure always the one at the top of the list goes to whatever temple in the world, but it's in phonetically in a way that temple, even though they don't speak that particular language, the words coming out when they read the card will sound very close to what it would sound like if they were speaking in the native tongue. So that's cool. That's going to be fun. It's going to be hard, but those are things that are kind of fun to do. Do you know when the temples will take names from the? Oh, okay. Shared names from my list are completed all over the world. Yeah, it happens. So people do ordinances ready. Sometimes that'll end up pulling some stuff because you're sort of related in some way. And we're doing that with ordinances ready. See what the difference is. Ordinances ready. We don't allow things that we pull from. We'll pull ordinances ready from any temple district in the world, right? Because we're trying to find somebody you're related to. We don't care what district it is, and so that's why you're seeing them all over the place. Or it's ordinance ready, or it's the next person in line. So ordinance ready is doing what we want it to do, meaning it'll grab the next one. If it can't find anybody you're related to, if it can't find anything in the tree that they walk up your tree and down the tree, can't find anybody that needs this particular ordinance you want, then we'll just grab it off the temple list. And we'll grab it from the top of the temple list. And so you'll see ordinances ready will grab things from all over the place, and you'll end up seeing baptisms done in Mexico or in other places of the world, which is really kind of cool to see that. All right, well, I've done my blabbing. I ate up an extra 10 minutes of your time to make up for my problem getting on. So thank you very much. One other thing I want to talk about, if you're willing to hang around. I have been visiting with my son, and he's been trying to encourage me to change this format a little bit. So I wanted to visit with you to see what you think about it. So what we're thinking, we've been talking about it for several months now, and I think there's a couple of things that are issues with the way we're doing things now. I mean, I love interacting with you. I really do. But I feel bad that I haven't been able to spend the energy and time to adapt a bunch of technology. I just busy doing FamilySearch stuff, and to really teach you what you need to know when you ask a question. I can't demo it for you in front of you. And so we've been talking and we've been thinking, well, maybe we do this a different way. Maybe we send, maybe we'll still do this no matter what we do. We'll still be on YouTube. But if I create a video, if I get questions from you all, and I don't care if we continue to use Facebook or if you just send me an email, and maybe I'll just ask everybody to send me an email with Facebook Live and the title or something like that, so I know it's Facebook Live. And then what I would do is I would take a set of questions and I would respond and answer those questions. And if for instance, the search thing we were talking about, let's say somebody sent in and said, I don't really understand why you change search. I can't figure out what all the buttons are for. Well, then all I'd do is I'd go create a video talking to you in the video, even have my face in it so you could see it. And I would explain and walk you through how to learn and how to see and how it works. That way you can see it and still answers the questions. So any initial reaction to that? And maybe we do, and then what would I do is I create these videos and then I push them out. I put a notice in Facebook that I just deployed, 3 new videos, or just put up a video that answers these 3 questions or something. On YouTube, I do the similar kind of thing. I'd upload it to YouTube, provide a link somewhere in Facebook to go to that YouTube video that answers those questions. And then you can watch them whenever you want to watch them. And then maybe we have a Facebook Live like this, once a month or every other month or something like that. So I want you all to think about that. And then let me know. I mean, I get one answer here. Everybody else is kind of stunned. I love visiting with all of you and answering your questions, but at the same time, I want people to be able to come back because I'm too busy now to really do a great job with these videos and enter in all the questions that I answered. But I think if I'm really careful and I'm only worrying about 2 or 3 answers, I could do a brief video. I could have the descriptions in the Facebook and also in YouTube about what questions are answered on this video. So then when you're trying to find the answer to your question or to how this thing works, you just go find the video that lists that question and do that. So yeah, So send me emails. Those of you who I see a couple people are saying, yeah, I'd like step-by-step instructions would be great. I think that'd be good too. Keep the live. We'll have to figure out how often we can do the lives. But I'm not going to change anything right now. So think about it. Tell others or express it if you have others that have come and watched these Facebook lives before, or those that are going to watch this later tomorrow or something. To send me an email, ron@familysearch.org, and let me know how you feel about that. And if you're okay with that, feels great, then put some questions in the email and I'll start answering those questions and we'll try it for a little while. And then I'll consult with the family to see, how often we want to do the full Facebook lives so people can ask a lot of questions and we can visit now and then. So anyway, there I am. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. I want you all to have a great evening. It's, I have to say that our Heavenly Father blesses us in ways we don't see sometimes until years later. And once in a while, I remember some of the things that He's shown me and taught me, and I appreciate it. And I'm certainly grateful for Him listening to my heart as I ask about saving Cherie, and He's done a wonderful service for me to allow her to be with me. So, and I'm grateful for you all. You are the ones who are making Family Tree and Family Search work. And I know there are people out there that are sometimes very destructive. We had one not too long ago that we're working on and trying to restore the data to what it was before, and because it was just so destructive and more than any individual could recover from. And we want to find those people who shouldn't be in there doing things because they're angry or they're just malicious. And we have been researching on how we can figure out how to find these people and help them or ask them to leave. And we usually find it pretty good because you all report it to community that there's a problem and this particular person's doing bad things. That's how we catch it so quickly, as you're helping us. But I'd like to have the system catch that before very much is done. And so anyway, you all have a great evening. I'm going to go watch the rest of the football game. I didn't get to watch very much of it. And thank you very much for that, Stephanie. I appreciate the scripture there. And I certainly feel, sometimes all of us don't feel very appreciated, and sometimes we do. And I appreciate all of your kindnesses to me, everybody out there. So thank you very much. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time. Okay. Thank you very much for everything, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.